Most new moms don't struggle because they got the wrong gears. They struggle because they don't have enough support. After 2 kids and witnessing enough mom friends going through postpartum, I was shocked at how many things can be prepared in advance to make postpartum drastically easier. But they're not things you can put on a registry. In this video, I am sharing with you the real essentials that I wish I prepared before I had a baby. And make sure you watch till the end because there's one tip that can supercharge your postpartum support if you set it up early. Hi, my name is Tian. I'm your mom friend of 2 littles who's trying to bring intentionality into motherhood and family life. If that sounds like you, please subscribe. Instead of a traditional baby shower where everyone sits around and open gifts, consider a nesting party. I saw my friend Steph do this for her 3rd baby and it was absolutely genius. Her friend set it up for her and everyone who's invited is given 2 sign-up sheets. The first one are for tasks like assembling baby gears, setting up different stations around the house, cleaning up their backyard, stocking the freezer. These are all highly actionable items and very contained tasks. They won't overwhelm the helper, nor the expecting family. The other sign-up sheet is that everyone who comes to help needs to bring a freezable meal, chosen from recipes that Steph linked. So these are recipes of food that they actually eat. Things like taco beef, breakfast muffins, and casseroles. Very easy to freeze, also very easy to defrost and heat up and eat. So if people ever ask you, hey, what are you planning to do for your baby shower? You could tell them instead of a traditional shower, we would love a nesting party where people come and help us get ready for the baby. Tasks will be very simple and your presence is the gift. Preparing your home and baby gears is only half of the battle. The other half is food. Cooking with a newborn around is not impossible, but it is incredibly hard. Ask me how I know. We've made the mistake of having my husband cook when we're postpartum. Now, don't get me wrong, the effort is hugely appreciated, but the results were chaotic. The actual way to go is to prepare ahead of time and freeze meals or have meal trains. That way, whenever people ask, hey, how can I help? Sign up for the meal train, please. And what's even better is if you can get someone to help you coordinate the meal train to make sure that the gaps are filled. And meal train is such an easy platform to use. It's so easy to sign up, very low effort. If people want to help but they can't bring a meal, they can contribute gift cards. The thing I really want to highlight about setting up a meal train ahead of time is to account for the possibility that your baby may have food intolerance. I did not know what to expect as a new mom, first time postpartum. My baby was not colicky, but he had very severe acid reflux. So it was a lot of effort breastfeeding him because it's always uncomfortable and he cries a lot in between feedings and that disrupts his sleep as well. It was after eliminating wheat and dairy have I discovered that, oh, he's actually sensitive to those. His acid reflux was triggered by food sensitivity. So I had to cut them out of my diet completely. And that makes people contributing to meals a lot more difficult. If people have already signed up for the meals and have given you frozen meals and they have those elements and you can't actually use them. So I would probably recommend that you just go with a low allergen kind of food, like send people specific recipes that are maybe paleo or whole 30, just in case your baby is not able to tolerate it. For your recovery down there after birth, I'm sure you already done your research and you know about para bottles, patsicles, peri sprays, and adult diapers. But what many moms fail to prepare for is pelvic floor therapy. I didn't truly understand this until the last year or two, that pregnancy and birth, no matter how uneventful, is actually a tremendously straining activity on your pelvic floor. I made the mistake of not doing anything to rehabilitate my pelvic floor after my first delivery, leaving it very weak for my 2nd pregnancy, and oh boy was it a mistake. During my 3rd trimester, it felt like a kettlebell sitting on my pelvis the entire time with so much pain and discomfort. Peeing is such a huge chore and I had to pee like 30 to 40 times a day at the end of pregnancy. So if I could do it all over again, I would start pelvic floor physical therapy and core strengthening exercises like Pilates before I get pregnant. And I would do it throughout pregnancy as long as my healthcare provider clears it. And during postpartum, I will follow up thoroughly as soon as I'm cleared by my OB after 6 weeks. We need to talk about postpartum recovery more. Women in America are not treated right after birth. As someone who was born and raised Chinese, like the postpartum care culture in China is like this big compared to America that is this big. Pelvic floor rehabilitation should be a default part of postpartum care. So I'm gonna hold your hand while I tell you this, that you need to take care of your pelvic floor. And let your people know too. See if there are ladies in your circle that have a pelvic floor specialist they really recommend. And I'll let you in on a secret. Women going through menopause is probably gonna know a lot about this because a lot of the issues that are not dealt with after childbirth, they will show up during menopause and they will show up not only as pelvic issues, but they'll show up as knee problems problems as well. A lot of the times when the pelvis is not recovered properly, it causes certain rotation of the hips and the knee, and that eventually shows up as knee pain because the positioning of your entire lower body is affected because of a lack of rehabilitation of your pelvic floor. So please deal with it while you're still young and healthy and you have so much room for recovery. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, can you do me a favor and hit that like button? That would really help get the video out to people that need to see it. It is never too early to prepare for therapy. The biggest surprise I encountered when I was postpartum with my first child was just how much motherhood unearths trauma. Combined with the hormones, oh my goodness, it's an explosion of the old and new that I had to deal with in a very short span of time. The intensity was so much. My past of all the abuse I've experienced met with now this future of being responsible for a new life. It was so overwhelming that it actually collapsed my mental health. If you know there are elements in your upbringing that needs to be dealt with, I highly recommend dealing with them sooner than later. So the prep work that you can do ahead of time could be interviewing counselors. Trust me, postpartum is not a good time to interview multiple counselors and hope to find the best suitable ones, while every single minute could be used for sleep. This doesn't even have to be a long-term commitment. From the get-go, you could communicate to the counselor you interview and tell them that this could just be a short-term support for about 2 to 8 weeks, and you ask if that's okay with them. It's just really helpful to have an experienced counselor who can help you through this intense transition and be there just in case. I actually spent the past few years intensely learning about myself and working on healing so I can parent from a place of freedom and not survival mode, fear, or hurt. If you're in the same boat and you're also working through overcoming generational curses and ending the cycle of trauma in your motherhood, check out the videos I'm going to link down below in a playlist. After giving birth, all you want to do is stop and rest, understandably. But life goes on and so do chores. So this is the game plan I'm going to propose to you. We're going to take a two-pronged approach. The first part is the part that you can control, and the other parts is getting help from other people. If you haven't already, before you're pregnant or when you are pregnant, it is time to start with some systems. It could be as simple as having a meal plan with some fixed recipes to rotate, especially those dump and go recipes. Come up with a fixed grocery shopping list that you check off every time you go instead of having to write a whole new list every single time and forget what are some of the essentials. A super helpful thing is to have a daily and a weekly routine. And of course, going into postpartum, expect all of them to be disrupted, but having those systems in place helps in the sense that you have something to bounce off of. You have something as a reference point when you try to settle into a routine. And routine is tremendously helpful for new mothers because routines and systems help eliminate decisions fatigue. And decisions fatigue is going to make postpartum so much more difficult because just handling your own recovery and keeping this baby alive is already so many decisions. You don't need any more on top of that. So that's the part that you can control. And the other part is to actually outsource tasks. There are things that are very easily outsourced, like lawn care, or if you live in a snowy place like me, ask people to help you shovel, or even pet care, having someone walk your dog. If you have a friend that ever comes up to you and asks how they can practically help, or if they ever come to visit you postpartum, don't be shy and just ask if they can help you out with some of these well-contained and low instruction chores. Ones that they don't have to come to you and ask every single details of. I always find it very interesting when people say, oh, my friends can come help me do the dishes or laundry. I'm like, how do they help you with laundry? Like, how do they know where you put all your stuff? Like, imagine telling your friends, this is where you put the underwear and this is where we put all the tops, but these certain tops have to be hung up or else they'll get wrinkly and these ones don't really matter. The sportswears are separated from the non-sportswear. Like, how do you even do that? So with this two-pronged approach of what you can control and what you can get help with, you can easily get yourself some really solid chore support during postpartum. It is finally time to let you know what the secret weapon is that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. You need a concierge friend, a friend who's a coordinator. All of this support that I mentioned above are not as helpful if you, the new mom, is the coordinator. If you have to be the point of contact for all of these, it is actually more burdensome than helpful. Having someone to help you coordinate is going to supercharge the support that you receive. Whether it's a family member, a friend, or even your spouse can handle the meal train, the communication, scheduling, and update. This actually forms a healthy boundary for you, the new mom, to get the rest that you need to recover. So whoever helps you coordinate doesn't have to be around 24/7. A lot of the coordinations can be done remotely. For example, my friend Steph, who had that nesting party, the friend that helped her set up all of this nesting party did all of it remotely. All the sign-up sheets were sent out digitally, and the meals are also signed up online as well. For my second time postpartum, my friend from church, Sarah, helped coordinate all my meal train. I'm so grateful that there's a barrier of her and then my husband and then me. So they kind of shielded me from a lot of the other decisions that don't necessarily have to be made by me, which helped me focus on the things that only I can do. Now, a video about postpartum preparation is not going to be complete without talking about lactation support. What most moms don't realize is that lactation support comes in two parts. supports. There's the breastfeeding support and there's the breast pumping support. And these two are completely different. I have seen IBCLCs with decades of experience who can tell you everything under the sun about nursing, but don't know what high elastic nipples look like when it comes to pumping. The market of lactation support is very saturated with nursing support, but pumping is a different ballgame. I personally went from undersupplying to eventually pumping about 50 ounce a day using exclusively cheap portable pumps. None of the consultants I've seen over the years helped me get there. It was through, honestly, no exaggeration, hundreds of hours of research. And of course, I had to make a video about it. If you're preparing for postpartum, go check out that video because knowing how to pump correctly is going to make baby feeding so much easier the first few weeks. It helps prevent nipple injuries and improper emptying, which then risks mastitis, which unfortunately is more common than we talk about in postpartum. The other huge distinction is that lactation consultants and international board certified lactation consultants are not the same. The lactation consultants you get at a hospital after birth is generally certified lactation consultants, also known as LC or CLC. I hate to break it to you, if you don't find them very helpful, it's not really a surprise. The reason is because certified lactation consultants only need 45 hours of education and one online or in-person class, and then to pass a certification exam. And in order to keep their license, their continuous education requires 18 plus hours every 3 years. On the other hand, international board certified lactation consultants, also known as IBCLC, they have to complete college level science courses and then 90 hours of lactation specific education, followed by 300 to 1,000 clinical hours and a vigorous exam, followed by recertification processes. IBCLCs are clinical workers. They cost more. They also have way more experience. So getting yourself a good lactation consultant who is international board certified is going to set you up for success if you want to breastfeed. I completely understand that hiring a postpartum doula or night nurse is a total luxury for some of us, but before you completely write it off, let me paint you the picture. I was very blessed to have my cousin Sarah help me during my first time postpartum. She is not a postpartum doula or night nurse, but she had a baby 9 months ago, so the memory is still fresh and she knows exactly how to help out. She was able to come and help for the first week of my postpartum, and one of those days became a core memory. She came over and helped out with Zion for about 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours. As soon as she came in the door, we handed over the baby and Chris and I just went to bed and slept. I slept and I slept and I slept. And I woke up almost in tears because of the joy of finally catching up on sleep and feeling like a human again. Like that feeling of joy is still such a core memory, but this is a gap where postpartum doulas and night nurses can really fill. I know they cost a lot, but even if you can save up for like 3 to 5 nights in total, that could potentially break the vicious cycle of sleep deprivation in the first few weeks, is going to make a huge difference postpartum. Obviously, if you have families and friends that you can trust, that's just as good. The idea is that new moms can really use some intervention to help catch up on sleep. There's a reason why sleep deprivation was used as a form of torture.
A few moments later.
It became really obvious to kids later that baby registry and baby shower are really not going to hit the spot when it comes to postpartum prep. What moms really need is a network of support that help them transition into motherhood. Now, if you already had a baby, can you let me know in the comments below, what would you add to the list? And if you know someone who's currently pregnant, please make sure to share this video with them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!